Well, good morning, everybody. How are you this fine Monday? I hope you had a good weekend and enjoyed yourself being off work. We had a lot of excitement around here. I have to apologize for being late with my video. Like I said, we had a lot of excitement. So I'm like the proverbial butcher that backed into his meat grinder, got a little behind in his work. So anyway, today I want to talk about the big question everybody has about NASA lately. And that is, why did we not go back to the moon after 1972? So why didn't we? That's a good question. Before I go into my little soapbox here, I want to show you a video here that Buzz Aldrin is being interviewed by a little girl, and he makes some comments that I think are very relevant to this video.
Were you a little scared about going to the moon or coming home again?
I was scared because nobody had been there.
Because nobody has been there before?
Well, people had gone up and down without staying in orbit. People, dogs and monkeys, people, Russian Yuri Gagarin. Then we'd done a lot of things, but we hadn't really sent people to the moon. So we did send people, and they went around the moon. Then we sent people, another crew, to go around the moon and then practice everything but landing. And then a very fortunate person with many things going right in my life gave Neil Armstrong, Mike Collins, and Buzz Aldrin the opportunity to make an attempt to make the first landing. And all of us want to succeed, and we did. And that's why I'm here. That's one of the reasons I'm here. Because I had the curiosity to want to tell people what it was like.
So what I wanted you to get here is that Buzz Aldrin absolutely believes that he walked on the moon. You can see him in this question being asked by the girl, what scared you about going to the moon? I kind of wanted you to see all the tests they ran, people going into space, unmanned craft going up to the moon and back, and then circle the moon, orbit the moon, and come back, and then manned vehicles going up and circling the moon and coming back, and all of that. So you can see that NASA tested and tested and tested before sending men to the moon. That's kind of critical here. Now this next video I want to show you, a little clip, is the clip that every flat earther takes the first part of and cherry picks that to mean that we never went to the moon. And you'll see they cut it off right at the part where he says we didn't go there. And so let me let you listen to that.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and And that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. Money is a good thing. If you want to buy new things, new rockets, instead of keep doing the same thing over, then it's going to cost more money. And other things need more money too. So having achieved what the president wanted us to do.
There is 2 videos from Buzz Aldrin. This one we just saw, he talks about not being able to go back, and what he's answering is her question. Why didn't we go back to the moon? And he says, because we didn't go there. And then he talks about how important keeping up doing things that you have done in the past, so that you keep that ability active. And then his last comment here is about money. Yes, money rules the world when it comes to agencies like NASA. And so what I can tell you from things that I've learned, I should tell you first that I worked for a NASA contractor for 16 years, and so I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the things going on at NASA. And the testing, I was involved with testing and analyzing, storing data, and even was involved in one paper published by NASA. So I want to tell you that in the 70s, once they had gone to the moon in 1972, this was the final trip, the U.S. Congress decided that we really had learned all we could learn about the moon. There wasn't any reason to go back and spend that money. I know Daniel Pratt's all worried about the money and how we spend the money. So Congress, I guess they brought NASA in, the NASA administrators, to talk about the budget, and the budget was cut from 4% of the federal budget to 0.4%. That's like a 90% cut in their income. So I want you to think for a minute. You go to work every day and your boss comes in and says, you're doing a really good job, but we're going to cut 90% of your income. So you make $1,000 a week now, and you'll be making $100 a week from now on. How would you feel about that? That's a very sobering thought there. So that's what happened in the 70s. That was cut. NASA felt like that there was no reason, again, to go back to the moon, and because of the cost and the regulations and everything, they decided that it was more advantageous to do unmanned flights, not sending men back into space, because it's just too costly, and the testing and the regulations and everything that go with it. So basically, manned flight to outer space was shelved. In the 1980s, they began to further develop the ISS, the International Space Station. This was built in conjunction with other countries. And so other countries, I think Canada and parts of Europe and those places, were all involved in helping to build the ISS into a full-blown station. The United States built the space shuttle. The space shuttle was designed to take cargo to the ISS, and it was also designed so that they could implement satellites, and that was what it was used for from mid-80s through 2000s. The place where I worked its mission was to test manned space flight items for manned space flight. We did like materials testing, hypervelocity testing, even odor testing, which is very interesting, and things like that. So when the manned space shuttle was shelved, the facility where I worked was cut way back, and so I went to work somewhere else. So that's what I really wanted to tell you, is there is a very good reason why we didn't go back. Money. And the U.S. Congress cut that money so that NASA had no choice but to go to unmanned spacecraft. You have Voyager 1, Voyager 2, Cassini, all these probes that went to Saturn and Jupiter and Titan and the Sun. So we've done, NASA has done all of that since the 2000s. So since the last year or two, they've discovered that there may be water on the moon. They've discovered some other things about the moon that make it much more interesting than it has been in the past 2 decades. So now NASA would like to go back to the moon, to build a colony on the moon, and use the moon as a jumping spot into Mars. This is all planned. It may take years to do. The budget is part of that. If it takes however much to go to Mars, then they're going to have to divide it up just like we would in our budget. But those are the plans. Now they have private companies like SpaceX and Virgin Galactic and others that are also doing space exploration, and NASA is planning to use some of those rather than trying to rebuild or reinvent the wheel, as it's often said. And so you're going to begin to see a lot of development, NASA involved in a lot of that development, and I hope you understand everything that's going on and understand from a business standpoint where NASA stands in everything that it's doing right now. One of the things I failed to mention earlier, in the mid-80s, NASA was it was mandated that NASA use contractors for a lot of their work, for all of their work, and they were to spread out their money as much as they could throughout the United States. So not all the money goes to West Virginia or Alabama or whatever. So companies like Raytheon, Boeing, and others of these companies, Lockheed, took on performing a lot of the work that NASA did. The place where I worked was the same way. I worked for a contractor. The reason for that is the contractor does the work. NASA is the project managers, the project designers for the experiments that are run. So all of that flat earthers are worried about, all that scientific method stuff, a lot of that's done by NASA, and then the work is performed by the contractors. And that was mandated again by Congress to enable that money to be spread out more instead of being spent all in one state. Okay, so that's really all I had for today. Again, I apologize for being a little late. I hope you continue to follow me. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. That would really cheer up my week. And I hope to see you next week.